Tajahao. Today, I'm going to encourage you to not just dream for yourselves, but to have a dream, a bigger dream for our society. I'll be sharing how I found a career that satisfies my passion and how that the career has led me to an advocacy, and how that advocacy has opened me to an idealism for our financial industry. This talk has 4 keywords: passion, career in advocacy, and idealism. I'll be talking first about my passion. It was the 24th of December, 1995, that I received one of the most unforgettable gifts that I could possibly have. It was given to me by my uncle. My uncle said, "Kiko, ngayong wala na ang tatay mo, ikaw na ang tatayong ama ng iyong pamilya." Well, that's Filipino for, "Kiko, now that your father is gone, you now have to become the father figure of your family." My father actually died 2 days before. My uncle gave me the gift of having a sense of responsibility. And celebration of Christmas has never been the same for me. Nonetheless, I still maintained a happy disposition. Here I was with my high school buddy, wearing that big, what I consider a winning smile. It was in high school that I started to seriously dream and ask myself, what do I really want to do in the future? The answer to that question came when I was in college. I was here with some college friends, and it was in college that I discovered that I have this strong passion for teaching and research. Very nerdy, right? Passion for teaching and research. And I believed so hard in the dream. And since teaching and research are both consistent with the academe, at that time, I know and I believed so hard that I'll become a professor someday. During my college graduation, I asked a senior teacher, how do I become a professor someday? And he jokingly said, "Kiko, since you are not graduating top of your class, do not expect that the university would offer you a teaching job. An alternative would be to get a master's degree." All right? So I did. I took actions, and I earned my MBA in 2008. My MBA earned me a job in the bank. And for a time, I totally forgot my ultimate dream of becoming a professor. But destiny has its ways. A PhD scholarship from CYCU came. At the time, it was a huge decision. It was a major decision because I already have a stable job that can support my family and me. And I also have a serious relationship. And if I'm going to stay here in Taiwan, is the scholarship enough to support my family and to support my living expenses here? So studying my PhD here in Taiwan is a big bonus, actually. But it's also a big risk. A risk that I have to take because I'm afraid that I won't be able to find this opportunity again. So I came here in 2009, got married in the Philippines in 2011, and luckily finished my PhD in 2012. That same year, another luck came, and I became a professor in CYCU. Being a professor here is my greatest achievement so far, a dream come true. The following year, I had my additional lucky charm, my baby. Being a professor, like what I said, is my greatest achievement, and the dream came true. It came true because I believed, I took actions, and I didn't discount the power of luck, and then I achieved. To easily remember these words, just take out the first letters, and you'll have a word that sounds like guava in your language. Bala. Okay. Let me continue, all right? So, well, as I grow older, I am still dreaming of becoming a distinguished professor someday. However, I will just let this dream career that I'm having now dictate my future. Money and success will just follow. Actually, I can already stop dreaming here because I have already achieved my personal dream. I'm gonna grow old, retire, and just enjoy my life. Makes sense, right? So I have already achieved my personal dream. Samaban. What now? Right? But then I realized that when we have already achieved our personal dreams, we should not stop. We should start of thinking of bigger dreams. Dreams for our society. Dreams that are beyond ourselves. And dreams that can possibly continue even after we die. As a finance, accounting, and business ethics professor, I realized that I'm in a good position to make a change through education. I started dreaming for our society when I first thought of the course Financial Ethics. Some are calling it Ethics in Finance. And this is how my career has led me to an advocacy. I believe that through education, we can have a stronger ethics in the financial industry. But there's this one funny setback. Do you know how many students attended my first financial ethics course? 3 students. I only had 3 students during the first day. And I encouraged them to invite some of their friends, invite some of their classmates, so we can have a livelier discussion. So the next meeting came, and this is what I saw when I entered the room. But maybe I'm just early, right? So I waited for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and no one came. I had 0 students. All right? So of course, you had a sad teacher. All right? But I never gave up. Okay? I invited some students. I even threatened them. You have to attend my class? I didn't threaten my students, of course. I invited some students. I promoted the course until I had enough number of students and the course was offered. Let's talk about some serious matters. In my ethics classes, case studies are the most effective way of teaching. And from those case studies, we have encountered lots of financial and accounting scandals. Some of them you might be familiar with, like AIG, like Lehman Brothers, or maybe even Enron. But some of these cases, maybe you're not that familiar, like Satyam Computer Services of India, who padded their revenues for around $1.5 billion. Waste Management Incorporated, who inflated their after-tax profits by as much as $1.7 billion. Third is Petrobras Corporation of Brazil, who removed $2 billion worth of bribery-related costs. And lastly, WorldCom Incorporated, a telecommunications company in the US, who inflated their assets for as much as $11 billion. These scandals are actually happening all around the globe. And these companies were brought down by individuals who share negative characteristics. And they are now famous for being horrible and disgraceful persons, much like the mobsters here.
I thought my jokes were bad.
Yeah, I thought my jokes were bad. They're really badass, right? They're really badass. Sometimes being a badass is cool. So right now, I'm gonna tell you how to become a horrible person. All right? If you want to be if you want to become a real badass in the future, you have to have the following characteristics. First, you have to be arrogant. You have to think that you are too big to fail, and you must do some risky decisions without careful considerations of others. Next, you have to be disrespectful. You have to disregard rules and regulations. Next, of course, you have to be a good liar. Just like what Enron, just like what Satyam, or those companies did against the public. They lied to the public regarding the real condition of their finances. And lastly, you have to be selfish. You have to turn that self-interest into greed and do it at the expense of others. Misbehaviors are happening because according to a study in employee ethics, believe it or not, 10% of employees have the tendency to misbehave. And if you have misbehaving individuals, the usual response is, of course, punishment, right? And increase the number of rules and regulations. This is to prevent other individuals or corporations from doing future misdeeds. In fact, in the US, 3,500 new regulations are being passed every year. A lot, right? Well, for some of us, or maybe most of us will think it makes sense. It sounds reasonable, right? But not really. You see, if you increase the number of regulations, you are not only punishing the bad apples, but you're also indirectly punishing the good ones, the good apples, by creating an environment that is so restrictive and anti-competitive. You are creating a scenario wherein your regulations are becoming counterproductive because you are forcing your companies to channel some funds to comply to these new rules and regulations instead of putting them into more value-adding activities. This is the negative side of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2012. A year after the law was passed, audit fees increased. And those that were greatly affected were your small-scale businesses. Those with market capitalization from $0 to $75 billion, these businesses are spending 64% of their revenues just to comply for audit fees. A lot. And since then, audit fees increased and became steady. But there's a big however. However, according to the study of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, audits are still ineffective in reducing fraud or in uncovering frauds. Businesses are still losing part of their revenues because of fraudulent activities. So we are seeing a situation wherein your supposed solutions are not actually solving the real problem, and at times contributes to the problem itself. So what should be the solution? The short-term solution would be is to encourage lawmakers to be more discerning of the laws and regulations that they are passing. And these regulations should undergo a careful cost-benefit analysis, wherein the benefits should totally outweigh the cost. The long-term solution is, of course, through self-discipline and self-regulation, wherein individuals and corporations are already taking the initiative to do what is right and ethical. I know this sounds very ideal, but this idealism can be achieved through education, through creating individuals that are ethically trained. You're familiar with this organization, right? People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA. Familiar? No? Yes, should be. This one is a popular NGO. What about this one? People for the Ethical Treatment of Financial and Accounting Information for Tomorrow. Or Pet Fight, and members are being called pet fighters. Not familiar? Well, this is because this organization is imaginary. I just imagined this one, but nevertheless, it embodies my idealism for the financial industry. The financial industry is a good starting point for a stronger ethics education because the industry holds huge sums of amount of money. And according to the study of McKinsey & Company, the total global market capitalization of the financial services industry has already reached $212 trillion. $212 trillion is such a staggering amount that even a small fraction of fraudulent activity can still have huge implications. So this is to show you how huge is $1 trillion of US dollars. Let's now talk about financial ethics. Financial ethics, as a relatively new academic discipline, can help us in educating current and future business professionals like you in the proper treatment of financial and accounting information. Financial ethics can also provide us with principles that can govern the financial industry. As a financial ethics professor, I'm also doing my own ways to fulfill my advocacy. Aside from, of course, teaching the course, I have also written several research papers and published it in several journals about financial ethics. I have also started my own blog about ethics in the financial industry. I also regularly attend business ethics conferences. And just recently, I have won a Best Paper Award regarding financial ethics. Now, my treatment of financial ethics is not just a course that I am teaching my students, but it has evolved into a personal advocacy that I am not only teaching, but I am also sharing to my students and to you as my audience. I believe that in the future, we can all become part of those employees who will maintain ethics in their respective organizations. This will lead us now to my idealism. I believe through financial ethics education, the future of the financial industry, the future of our economy would be an environment that is free of corporations that disregard rules and regulations, free of individuals that do not respect financial and accounting information, free of excessive and counterproductive regulations, in an environment that is free of economic crisis because of financial greed. To end, I am dreaming and I believe in a financial industry that is sustainable, transparent, disciplined, and most of all, a financial industry with a conscience. Thank you very much.